Hey, all, DT Neal here, talking about storytelling things, writerly things, science fiction, fantasy, horror, weird fiction, and the like. I'm also thinking a little bit, or even a lot, about space colonization. And I've talked about this before, but I don't really think people realize just how huge a lift that is. When you think about how much it took to go to the moon, the Apollo program, actual colonization of space, that is jarringly hardcore, expensive, logistically challenging. Even in the best of circumstances, the idea of getting a moon base built or something on Mars, theoretically, it's just such a huge lift. And I don't think our current societal framework and our economic framework would lend itself to it. You know, decades past, science fiction writers they always kind of finesse that point. They always, the colonies are already established, the spaceships are already built, people are already out there. But when you think the breadth and depth of the build that goes into any kind of program, especially any manned space program, versus using probes and robots and the like, it is incredibly daunting. And even if you get a colony somehow miraculously built, then you run into the issues of politics. You know, a lunar base, who do they report to? How do they view Earth? Now, one could see it in a very antagonistic relationship, because Earth would have a domination of supplies. You know, there'd be a point before a colony could even be self-sufficient, if that ever even is attainable. And how does that all exactly shake out? How do the people on those colonies, hypothetical colonies, see themselves relative to the Earth? And there's the long-term reality, assuming again that there can even be a viable colony. People who were living on Mars, if they're able to survive there, that low gravity on Mars is going to change what those people look like. You know, even allowing for a viable colonial condition on Mars, in no time at all, those Martians are going to see themselves as Martians. They're not going to see themselves as Earthlings anymore. Probably a generation and it's done. That's, again, best case scenario, assuming that there'd be a viable colony that way. And when you think of the distances involved, you know, think about our world right now. And again, that's part of the reason why I think there would have to be a radical change in how we conduct international relations, how we conduct ourselves, even within our own countries, versus people who are off planet, and how they administer themselves, how they lead themselves, how they conduct themselves relative to the Earth. It's in the realm of capitalism and corporate control and all of those factors that come into play with how business and society is conducted here on Earth. Think of just how challenging that is, and then just throw, X number of people on another planet or on the moon, and how that plays out. It doesn't take much of a pessimistic view of the human condition to think that would be very, very difficult. And that is just allowing for the existence of a hypothetical colony. Like, again, the coordinated activity that we'd have to do on this planet to even aspire to having viable colonies elsewhere, that's huge. And the resources and the materials, that's huge. And the transporting of people, that's huge. And creating a viable colony or colonies elsewhere, that's huge. and then forms of supply chain and logistics and again, political representation. That's huge. Those are huge hurdles. All of those are really big hurdles. So while aspirationally, it's like one recognizes, man, we need to like be more than just on the earth. I also think, wow, that's really going to be difficult to attain. So there it is.